Hi, welcome to another Wind of the Willows episode review. This week, The Open Road Again. Wonderful autumn episode, and beautifully brings back that lovely caravan that we saw in the feature film. So we are into September now in 2019, so it feels very appropriate. So let's crack on. So I'm going to press play right now. Okay, so The Open Road Again from Series 1, so quite an early episode 8 from Series 1. So this one was directed by Jackie Cockle, and you got Barry Purvis and Sue Pugh animating on it. Of course, the rest of the wonderful crew. So this one, it's one of those ones that I was aware of because of these storybooks that were published, but I saw the actual episode a little later. I remember getting those storybooks as like double books at some point in the 90s, I think, and it wasn't until Channel 5 repeated the series that I saw this episode, and it's a lovely episode. I really like it. It's a little unusual in that Badger isn't in it, but we do have Alfred, the horse, he's back. And as the narrator says here, it's countryside bulgy with fruit. That's why it feels so right for this time of year. We've got the berries are out. Everybody's beginning to do the harvesting and so on. And this is one of those episodes where harvesting is mentioned, and the next few episodes are similar in that sense. So we've got the lovely golden fields there. Look at that, lovely farmers' fields, and. Interestingly, I mentioned those storybooks. This episode had a different title for its storybook version. For some reason, they called it Alfred and the Caravan. It's the only time I've known the titles change for a storybook. I don't know which title I prefer. Really, they're both fine. I like The Open Road Again as well. So we've got Toad sort of moping at the beginning of this. They're going on this hiking walk, and Toad is worn out, and Ratty Mole, of course, is saying that he suggested we do this in the first place. So it's Toad whining about his own idea. But of course he doesn't want to admit it. He's wearing that lovely rusty suit as well. Whenever I think of this rusty suit, I always think of Harvest, the episode from Series 2, which actually I'm reviewing next week. But yeah, he's got that lovely rucksack as well. And I can tell that this is Barry animating him. He's just got those mannerisms, and he's so beautifully done. So now we hear this voice off screen, and he is voiced by Alan Bardsley, the late Alan Bardsley. Sadly died a few years back, I think. And he, of course, voiced the horse in the film. He's got that lovely sort of way of pronouncing his H's, or not pronouncing his H's, I should say. The harvester. So this to me is an episode of it's a very nostalgic episode in that it's reflecting back on a classic chapter from the book and the film, The Open Road. And it's a wonderful way of revisiting, reusing, first of all, Alfred the horse. It's the first time he appears since the film, and he does appear a couple of other times as well in the series, but very briefly. Both of those I've reviewed already. So there's the tournament from Series 4 and Mr. Toad of the Times from Series 5. But this is very much an Alfred episode, you could say. I do know, though, that the horse was a pain to animate, very difficult, particularly with walking shots. Not so bad when he's behind the hedge like that with his head. So Ratty Mole, as you can hear here, there's singing a reprise of The Open Road there. And then we hear the music, that kind of sounds like the original soundtrack from the film, instrumental version of it anyway. You've got the clinking, the clanking of the pots and pans. It's lovely. Very nostalgic to me, because I think I've alluded to before that the caravan is well, that scene in the film has always been so special to me. There it is, isn't that beautiful? And how could you not reuse that caravan in an episode? Yeah, absolutely lovely. I don't know if I mentioned before that if you've seen my blog earlier on, before I did these Wind of the Willows reviews, I did my masters in animation, and it was all centred around this caravan, or the process of me replicating it, not in any way near the level of detail that it has, but a version of it, and I used it for projection mapping and turned it into a little miniature theatre. So if you actually backtrack on my website, you'll see various videos on that, and I was involved in restoring the original caravan. It was rescued from, it was almost skipped, almost flown out, and yeah, I helped restore it. So it's nice. This episode is very much about restoring it as well, and I do use a clip of this in one of the videos I do with the making of my own project. So I've got a real attachment to this, and it's a beautiful item. It's big, you know, huge item, and yeah. So this episode really is, well, from the start it looks like Toad's getting enthused again about the caravan, the idea of having another holiday. Not that they had much of a holiday originally, and it all looks like a lovely restoration episode. Or we're going to revisit this, but now we've got this problem that occurs, this peril that these field mice are in that the harvesters have mowed their homes, which is dreadful. It's awful news. So they're all suggesting, oh, live with me, or live with me, and there's obviously a lot of them. Now, I don't know if the audience guessed that the caravan is the answer before Alfred suggests it here. It's quite plainly obvious to me. It's set up so basically, but it's like, yeah, they're talking about the caravan, and there's your answer staring at you in the face. Now, they talk about the film by staying in it in a nice or two, but actually it goes on for a lot longer than that, because other episodes later in the series allude to it. Even the special right at the end, the Tale of Two Toads special, there's a scene where they're talking about living in the caravan. The Lost River that I've reviewed already from series 4, there's mention of it in that one. So yeah, it's great. But so Toad's already excited about rolling on the open road again, as he said there. The idea is that the field mice will stay in there for a bit until they get homes of their own, and then Ratty Mole and Toad can have a holiday in the caravan. He's very proud of it. It's nice to see this, because he totally lost interest in it in the film. Of course, he took up motoring, he got excited by that. But it's nice to see Toad get enthused about it again. How could you not? It's such a beautiful carriage. Nice little anecdote about this caravan. It was originally being painted red when it was being made, and Mark Hall said, no, it's in the book it says canary coloured caravan, so it needs to be yellow. So originally, if Mark hadn't intervened, we might have ended up with a red caravan. And if you think of other adaptations, I think it's is it the Matt Lucas version where it's actually red? So that is wrong as well, you know, it's not true to the book. Mark Hall, and Brian, of course, Brian Cosgrove, but particularly Mark Hall, you know, this was his baby, Wind in the Willows, and he wanted it to be so faithful to the book in every way possible, and to the period. And that is totally echoed in the film and continues all the way throughout the series. So we have got a very true canary-coloured caravan. I like this music here. It's music that we never hear again. It's just a one-off. It's just nice sort of incidental music to kind of tell this kind of montagey type scene of you know, mending the caravan, fixing it. Got the ropes in place there. And I must say, it was so lovely for me to see this animated, having been pretty familiar with it in this book. I love Toad posing there. He looks so relaxed. He's not working at all. Yeah, it's a little bit far-fetched. This it's a bit silly. This Will chasing. I like it's beautifully done, beautifully animated. Now, what Mole does here, we almost don't see. It's so quick. And Ratty, of course, says, "Good job that Mole was so quick thinking." You're almost wondering why was he so quick thinking. In the book, it goes into detail, saying, "Well, Mole stuck a stick through the spokes and stopped the wheel." We almost wanted a close-up there of Mole doing that, just so we saw it. Now, Toad being the over-dramatic Toad, he's obviously he was making out that he's all dizzy from that, and now he wants to avoid work. Lovely little bit of animation there of him pretending to look at the watch. Oh my goodness, is that the time? It's all in the eyes, you see. It's all in that kind of. Ooh. He's obviously making it up. Although he says he's got an appointment, and he comes back later. Well, we'll see. He comes back with something later, but we wonder if that appointment actually to do with that, or has he literally just made an excuse just to go? Don't know. It's quite. It's a bit writing that works. You know, we got to lose Toad for the reasons of the ending of the episode. So we lose a bit of comic relief now, but that's fine. I love these shots of there's such seemingly simple shots, but these close-ups of the caravan like there going up and then being lowered, you really feel the weight of it. Believe me, the prop itself does weigh a ton. Before it was, before I was helping out restoring it, these magnetic plates were removed from it. They were like blocks, magnetic blocks, in order to fix puppets to the interior. The interior isn't seen at all in this episode. We'll glimpse it through the doors, but if you remember in the film, we got a couple of shots of Toad singing away. Shame it was only used for that, because in one of the annuals, there's a lovely shot of the inside in there. And again, it had so much detail put into it. Nice to hear this music here. This is another version of the On the River theme from the film. Slightly faster, but it's beautifully suited to this scene again. Again, it's like a montage. We've got the dissolve showing the passing of time. It's just telling the story, isn't it? It's just saying, well, the caravan's been cleaned, fully polished. The youngsters are now residing in it. I like that shot. I wonder what that dirt is that's been swept up. That field mouse just then always struck me years ago, like he needed a shave. It's like first thing in the morning, he needs a shave. Just, I don't know, he had a funny look. Okay. Love these moonlight shots. And it's just showing off the caravan, isn't it? And the detail that went into that. Lovely wide shot there, we've got the trees. And it's funny, again, going back to that storybook, when you're reading it and you're reading the lines of dialogue, you imagine in your head the way they would have been said. And for the most part, it's pretty much the way I heard it in my head when I saw the episode. But there are the odd lines where you think, they're slightly different. So the field mice are embarrassed here. Of course, they haven't found a home. And poor Ratty and Mole looking forward to a caravan trip. It's very upsetting. And Ratty and Mole, being the very unselfish characters that they are not going to turf the poor little field mice out. So they can have a holiday, are they? So naturally it's going to be disappointing for them, but it's a lovely moral behind it, isn't it? I mean, it's showing sympathy for others when they're in need, and you put needs before wants. But I disagree with Ratty. I wouldn't have done it like this. I would have just been honest and open and said, look, They obviously don't want the field mice to feel bad, but it's, he's obviously lying. He's a white lie. Now, you notice when Ratty smiles, you see, he's got a funny look. I don't know what it is about the puppy, but when he really smiles, and you really notice that in the Great Steamer, which is from this series, of course, as well. I don't think it's something to do with this particular Ratty puppet. It's when you turn the Allen key so far, and you get this weird sort of overly stretched mouth. Hard to explain what I mean, but let me know in the comments if you know what I mean about that. So here comes Toad with a bicycle. Now, it always struck me, certainly again from that storybook, I thought, how on earth could he be more excited in this bicycle than he is about that beautiful caravan behind him? A tiny thing like that versus a beautiful home on wheels. And of course it comes down to speed. He's had a craze about motor cars, he's had a craze about plane, and now it's a bicycle. So on the face of it, you think, well, what's a bike got that's more impressive than a car or a plane, isn't it? But it's these lines of dialogue he has here that clarifies that. It's the wind whistling past, it's silent swooping speed, he loves the sound of the bell, being out in the open, so he loves that idea. So here he is going on about the caravan. So Ratty and Mole were worried about Toad breaking the news to him that the field mice are going to stand the caravan. So it's all working out. It's a nice simple script, it's all coming to a close. Yeah, and it's done in a nice way, nice order. You've got the field mice, they've got a problem that gets resolved, Ratty and Mole resolve it, and then Toad comes in and they resolve that. But there's one character left, of course, which is Alfred. Which, as an audience, you almost forget about, actually, because there's so much excitement going on. So Toad's on his way. There's some nice shots of him cycling away. They would use wires, of course, for that. Otherwise, there's no way you can keep a puppet balanced on a two-wheel bicycle like that. Here we go. So, Paul's got that idea. So all along, Ratty and Mole fear breaking the news to Toad, and they fear breaking the news to Alfred. But it seems that Toad and Alfred have got other plans, and nothing's spoilt at all. So the harvest has broken down, and Alfred's pleased to kind of be of use to the farmer again. I like how the field mice are used kind of to just listen in to all of that, They're probably quite aware now what really is going on. They're just sort of listening in, they're part of the furniture, as it were. And it's well struck. You see that shadow there, that's nice. Like the idea of Alfred turning, and then of course Alfred is so hard to walk, as I said before. We just saw the shot of his leg just leaving there. Oldest trick of the book, but it works. You give the sense of a character leaving or coming to fame. I've done it loads of times as an animator. Like you just do one step, and you get the sense that character's walked from there, or they're just walking out. Ratty Mole just then saying, oh, well, we've got our homes to go to. How about a picnic on the river? So it's that mole of like, oh, count your blessings, we've got these wonderful things, we can't have everything. And this is just it could have ended there, but we've got a lovely ending with Toad. It's just for fun, isn't it? I mean, it's just saying stupid bike already, so you assume he already has moved on from bikes. And he calls it his Dursley Petterson in this, and remember when I reviewed Caught in a Maze, Ratty finds the frame of that in the gardening pile, his Dursley Petterson, and Toad refers to it. So there's a nod to it again, but basically we don't see Toad on the bike again. Some of these episodes though, when he has these crazes and it's towards the end of the episode, I've said before, it's kind of, you almost want another episode that continues that, which they never quite did. I mean, there are some where he says, hot air ballooning, and then we have a hot air episode, and so on, but But overall, I love that episode. I think it is a simple script, but one that just works. It just totally works. There's a problem in it, it gets resolved. Everyone's happy in the end, even Ratty and Mom. Yes, they don't go on a caravan trip, but it's a lovely way of kind of bringing that caravan back into the world, if you like, because yeah, where did that caravan end up? We don't know in the original book. Was it just left there? So what Cosgrove Hall did was they revisited it and assumed it was still there in the ditch and brought it back to life. And even though we don't see a lot of it now, we see very little of it now in the rest of the series, only glimpses, we assume that it's always there. In fact, when we do see it, it's actually in Toad Hall next to Alfred. So at some point they move the caravan from that location back to Toad Hall, and the field mice stay in it there, I assume. Anyway, there we go. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Please do keep the comments coming. I'm very, very grateful for them. I will keep replying. We have got a bonus one today as well, so please do tune in for that. If tuning's even a term anymore for YouTube. So that's Hip Hip Soiree from Series 5. So we're there at that stage again, the bonus episode. So enjoy the September sun. It's a bit overcast here at the moment, but hopefully we got a bit of kind of summer weather left. So that's what these episodes allude to. It's still good weather-ish, isn't it? So, all the best, thanks a lot, and do join me for Hip Hip Soiree, and also next week for, I think it is Harvest. Yes, Harvest. Lovely episode, classic episode from Series 2. All the best, thanks a lot. See you soon.